A young Marine, 20-year-old Lance Corporal Maria Lauterbach, dreamed of serving her country. But her life took a tragic turn in 2007 when she mysteriously disappeared just months before giving birth. What followed was a tale of betrayal, violence, and cover-ups within the ranks of the U.S. Marines. This is the tragic and disturbing story of Maria Lauterbach. Maria Lauterbach was raised in Ohio, known for her athleticism and dedication. She joined the U.S. Marine Corps in 2006, seeking to serve her country and make a difference. Stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, Maria was respected by her peers for her hardworking, positive attitude. But underneath her drive and determination, a deep fear had begun to take hold of her life. In 2007, Maria discovered she was pregnant, an exciting yet challenging moment in her young life. But behind the scenes, something much darker was unfolding. Maria was embroiled in a situation that would soon turn deadly. Six months before her disappearance, Maria accused her fellow Marine, Corporal Cesar Lejeune, of sexual assault. Maria claimed that Lejeune had raped her and that she feared for her safety. The accusation set off a series of events that would highlight serious flaws in how the military handled such cases. A military investigation into the assault was opened, but as with many cases of this nature, progress was slow. Meanwhile, Maria's pregnancy advanced. The pressure mounted on her as she awaited justice, living in constant fear of retribution from Lejeune. On December 14, 2007, Maria was seen for the last time. She was 8 months pregnant, expecting her baby within weeks. Her family became worried when they stopped hearing from her, and she missed a scheduled flight to go home for Christmas. Calls to her phone went unanswered, and her car was found abandoned near the Greyhound bus station. As days passed, her family's concerns grew. The Marine Corps initially listed her as AWOL, absent without leave, but her family insisted that something was terribly wrong. Authorities soon realized they were dealing with something far more serious than a missing persons case.
Onslow County Sheriff Ed Brown says today has been an emotional roller coaster. At the beginning of the day, Brown seemed hopeful about finding pregnant Marine Maria Lauterbach alive. But that hope soon turned into sorrow as evidence showed the 20-year-old Camp Lejeune Marine is dead. Investigators have been searching for her body and the man they believe might be responsible for her death. Chelsea Donovan has been following this story from the very beginning. She joins us live now from Jacksonville with the latest. Chelsea, quite a day here.
Quite a day, Christine, and good evening to you. The sheriff just came up to me and he told me he is extremely close to unearthing a cavity near the Gum Branch Road area. Of course, he says that could be the body of Maria Lauterbach. He actually came outside and demonstrated how he was using a divining rod near that area, all in hopes to unearth a body tomorrow morning. Now, of course, that search is still underway right now out in the Gum Branch area. That search has been going on now for about 8 hours. You can see from the video there, there's men on the ground, there's dogs on the ground, and they are literally canvassing the area. That is the Meadowbrook Circle area where our suspect, Cesar Armando Lauren, does reside. So that search is underway. Of course, we will keep you posted if they do unearth a body here in the next 24 hours. Of course, a very emotional-filled day here in Jacksonville, as Sheriff Ed Brown told me. He literally wanted to cry when he discovered that a young mother's life was tragically cut short.
Mrs. Lauterbach is dead and has been buried here in Onslow County.
Shocking news from Onslow County Sheriff Ed Brown at an afternoon news conference regarding 20-year-old Lance Corporal Maria Lauterbach.
These cases and investigations become personal. I just want to cry.
Authorities now have a nationwide manhunt out for 21-year-old Corporal Cesar Armando Lauren of Jacksonville, the same person that authorities say sexually assaulted Lauterbach in April. She was due to testify against him in a case late last month.
He is also a suspect now in a previous investigation.
On Friday morning, the sheriff hoped for positive news as a key witness and former Marine said they'd recently seen Lauterbach, but we now know she was killed around the 15th of December. It is unknown if Lauterbach gave birth to her child.
This morning I went out before y'all feeling like, man, I was on cloud nine because I had some positive information. And then I had my insides knocked out.
Deputies say Lauren was last seen around 4 a.m. Friday. They say during her disappearance, they contacted him for an interview.
We've tried to get to talk to him, and it hasn't been because the military won't let us talk to him. His attorneys won't let us talk to him.
The NCIS also says he was not considered a flight risk or a danger to Lauterbach. Brown says he has no indication Lauren worked with anyone, that he simply acted alone. But what is unfortunately now confirmed is that a young mother's life was cut tragically short. Now, Christine, that nationwide manhunt is now out for that man right there, Corporal Caesar Lauren, 21-year-old male. He does have roots in Nevada, but the search is really all over the area. They believe the last time they saw him was around 4 a.m. this morning. Let's go to the picture of his car they are looking for, that black quad cab Dodge pickup truck, 2004. Take a good look at that tag right there, TRR 1522. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you are urged to call the Onslow County Sheriff's Department. That number, 910-455-3113. Of course, we will bring you updates as soon as we get them on the discovery or possible discovery of Maria's body. Christine?
All right, that's our Chelsea Donovan reporting live from Jacksonville tonight. Well, unless you have been through a similar situation, it's hard to imagine what Maria Lauterbach's family is going through. This afternoon, after the announcement of Maria Lauterbach's death, acquaintances were seen taking food and other items to the Lauterbach family home in Ohio.
When we went down there, we wanted to be straight with everybody. We wanted this woman found. We were not hiding anything. We were going to tell it like it was, exactly what was going on. We were not going to hide a thing. Maria, when she got in a jam, had a tendency to lie, to get out of a jam. But then she'd go back and apologize and felt bad. She was a woman with a conscience. She was a good woman and did not deserve to have this happen to her.
And that was Peter Steiner, Maria's uncle. The Lauterbach family also released a note saying that they appreciate the prayers from family and friends and ask that people understand that the family needs time alone to grieve over the death of their daughter.
Almost a month after Maria's disappearance, a neighbor of Caesar Laurien's reported something suspicious, a large burn pit in Laurien's backyard. What investigators uncovered was horrifying. Buried under a layer of concrete were the charred remains of Maria Lauterbach and her unborn child. Lejeune had brutally murdered Maria, striking her in the head with a blunt object, killing her and then burning her body to cover up the crime.
Are unfolding in the missing pregnant Marine, Lance Corporal Maria Lauterbach, as investigators work throughout the day at the home of the prime suspect. More evidence is recovered. Our Jacksonville Bureau Chief Chelsea Donovan has followed the story from the beginning and joins us now from the scene. Chelsea.
Good evening again, Lynette. Charred, burned human remains. Today we watched as archaeologists as well as SBI agents worked to unearth the body of what authorities now believe that to be of 20-year-old Lance Corporal Maria Lauterbach and her unborn child. Saturday, crews spent the day excavating this small cavity in the back of Caesar Laurien's home, and late in the day, a gruesome discovery.
The body of the adult was laying over on the side with the face down in the bottom of the pit. As I said, the fetus was in the abdominal area of that adult.
Authorities are confident it is the body of 20-year-old Maria Lauterbach and say the murder that took place was violent, going so far as saying there was a struggle before the body was burned.
According to what I've learned from the officers doing the processing of the house inside, the blood patterns were even up into the ceiling.
Authorities also say a key witness is helping them to identify a murder weapon. A warrant has now been issued for Laurien's arrest. District Attorney Dewey Hudson says when located, Lejeune will face at least one first-degree murder charge.
Later on, if medical experts were to show that maybe the child was born alive and then killed, then that's something that we would consider, and I'm sure we would issue a warrant.
An emotionally filled day confirming the deaths of a mother and a child with no chance at life.
one of the things that will probably stick with me for a long time and forever is that little hand. The way those fingers were turned that had been burned off the arm. That is bizarre. That is tragic. And it's disgusting.
Morning around 4 a.m. Now, authorities are saying early Friday morning around 4 a.m., Lejeune did leave a note stating that Maria had come to their home on her own accord and slit her throat, taking her own life. Of course, the investigation will show just exactly what happened on that night. We also know that a warrant has been issued for his arrest. Take a good look at that picture on your screen. That is Corporal Cesar Lejeune. He is driving a black 2004 quad cab pickup with the tag TRR 1522. Of course, now we know that that bank transaction that took place on December 24th was done by Lejeune, and we heard this today that the bank card was found here today somewhere in the state of North Carolina. So, of course, we will continue to gather details on that as well as the investigation. We're live tonight in Onslow County. Chelsea Donovan, WITN News. For now, Lynette, back to you.
The grisly discovery confirmed the family's worst fears, but the killer was nowhere to be found. Cesar Lejeune had fled days before, leaving behind a note claiming Maria had killed herself and that he had only panicked and tried to dispose of the body. Lejeune's flight sparked an international manhunt. Investigators quickly learned that Lejeune had fled to his native Mexico, taking advantage of Mexico's laws against extraditing citizens to face the death penalty in the U.S. The FBI offered a $25,000 reward for any information leading to his capture.
Hunt for that missing Marine accused of murdering a pregnant colleague. This morning, federal authorities say the suspect may have fled the country. NBC's Martin Savage has the latest on the search. Martin, good morning to you.
Morning, Meredith. FBI officials can't say for certain, but they believe that Corporal Cesar Lejeune has fled into Mexico, and they say this morning they are working with Mexican authorities to try and track him down. On the run for 6 days, the efforts to find Corporal Cesar Lejeune may have just entered a whole new realm.
It's very possible that he moved down through Texas, and certainly looking at the possibility he's in Mexico.
According to FBI documents, Lejeune told members of his Marine Corps unit he would flee to Mexico if it appeared he'd be found guilty of rape. At the time, he was under investigation for sexual assault, a charge brought by Maria Lauterbach, the woman he's now accused of murdering. The U.S. Marine who speaks Spanish became a naturalized citizen in 2003. Lejeune's run began last Friday after the Marine left a note for his wife saying he had buried Lauterbach in the backyard, claiming she had committed suicide. Lauterbach's burnt body was uncovered Saturday. An autopsy revealed she died of a blow to the head. Federal sources tell NBC News Lejeune has continued to attempt to communicate with his wife Christina, sending letters back to North Carolina, postmarked Houston, Texas, nearly 1,300 miles away.
She's been extremely cooperative every time that we've asked her to speak to us or to come down for an interview. She spent long hours here answering all of our questions.
Investigators wouldn't reveal what the note said. Meanwhile, local authorities spent Wednesday going over Lejeune's pickup truck, looking for clues of a crime and any hint of where the young Marine might be. Meanwhile, the local newspaper this morning is reporting that the murder weapon is a crowbar. The FBI is saying because they're not sure that Lejeune has crossed into Mexico, they're still asking the public to be on the lookout and to call or email should they see him. Meredith?
Martin Savage, thank you very much. Richard Colco is the spokesman for the FBI, which is overseeing the manhunt for Cesar Lejeune. Mr. Colco, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Meredith.
I know there's not a lot of information that you can share with us because this case is still ongoing, but the FBI at this point seems to believe that Lejeune is in Mexico. What do you base that on outside of an eyewitness, or short of an eyewitness?
Well, there's a lot of things that have occurred here, Meredith. It became a fugitive investigation once Lejeune left North Carolina. FBI, working with the marshals, NCIS, and other authorities, have worked to try and track him down. We do this two ways. We first work with the police by trying to get as much information as we can out there, and another important thing we do is by working with the public. Our public affairs role is we get the poster up, we get the press releases out, we use the online, the media. NBC's been very helpful as far as keeping his picture out there. There's only so many police eyes out there, but there's a lot of citizens' eyes out there. So what we're trying to do is engage the public to be aware, possibly make a phone call. We put up a tip line, 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can see the information on our website, FBI.gov, and we're looking for people out there who may have information on where Lorian could be at any time.
But what I'm asking, I guess, is has he been spotted by anybody in Mexico?
Well, at this time we have some, well, not in Mexico, but I don't want to talk specifically about the specifics of the investigation, but we have developed some intelligence, some information that has made us relatively sure that he has crossed the border into Mexico.
All right, Richard Kolko with the FBI. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
After months on the run, the search for Lorian intensified. U.S. authorities worked closely with Mexican officials, while the media covered every development. Finally, in April 2008, Cesar Lorian was captured in a remote village in Mexico. Despite his attempts to evade justice, Lorian was extradited back to the U.S. to stand trial. In 2010, he faced charges of first-degree murder for the killing of Maria Lauterbach and her unborn child. The prosecution argued that Lorian had killed Maria to silence her after she accused him of rape. The defense tried to paint Lorian as panicked, claiming that the murder was not premeditated. The jury deliberated for just 3 hours before delivering a verdict, guilty of first-degree murder. Lorian was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Maria's family, though devastated by the loss, finally saw justice for their daughter.
Cesar Lorian is guilty of first-degree murder. It is the verdict a Wayne County jury handed down just before 5 today. The former Camp Lejeune Marine is now convicted with 20-year-old Maria Lauterbach's death, and he had his trial start 2 weeks ago. Today, the jury was handed the case before returning with the verdict 3 hours later. Brittany Creamer was in the courtroom as Lorian was led away in shackles. She's live in Greenville now with more. Brittany.
Christine, it was an emotional day for both sides as Lorian was found guilty of first-degree murder and financial card theft and fraud.
The killer's on his way to Central Prison.
Prosecuting attorney Dewey Hudson breathes a sigh of relief Monday after Cesar Lorian is found guilty by a Wayne County jury.
Today, we're very happy for the family of Maria Lauterbach that finally justice has prevailed.
But for Lorian's family, it was a day of sadness as a son and brother was sentenced to life without parole.
It was really hard because my brother, he's not a person that everyone thinks he's a monster, and he's not. You don't know what happened that day. Nobody knows.
And even though Lorian's sister maintains her brother's innocence, Hudson says ultimately he believes the jury reached the right verdict in the murder of soon-to-be mother Maria Lauterbach.
She was a very young person, and unfortunately she'll never have the opportunity to grow up because she still was a very young lady.
Lorian's attorney Dick McNeil says this is a frustrating day for he and Lorian both, and that his client plans to appeal the verdict.
Well, it's disappointing. It was a long, hard-fought couple of weeks, long 2 years of representing Cesar. We're just disappointed by the outcome.
Disappointment and disbelief for those that call this now convicted killer family.
He didn't do nothing. He didn't kill the girl. That's all what he said. And I believe him because I know my brother.
Lorian will appeal the verdict with an appellate defender, and his attorney says there will be additional evidence that was not allowed in court initially. The highest sentence Lorian could receive is life in prison without parole due to the United States extradition agreement with Mexico. Christine?
Okay, Brittany, thanks. Now, today's verdict comes after a long 2 years for Lorian, the prosecution, defense, and the family of Maria Lauterbach. It was January 12, 2008, when Maria's remains and those of her unborn baby were found in Lorian's backyard in Onslow County, buried beneath a fire pit. The day before Lorian fled to Mexico, it would take more than a year for authorities to bring him back, and only if they agreed to not seek the death penalty. Maria's disappearance came after months of controversy in which Lauterbach told the Marine Corps Lorian raped her and that she was pregnant. Because North Carolina does not have a fetal homicide law, Lorian could not be charged with the baby's death.
Maria's case shed light on significant shortcomings within the military's handling of sexual assault allegations. Critics argued that the Marine Corps failed to protect Maria after she reported Lorian's attack. calls for military reform grew louder, leading to changes in how sexual assault cases are investigated and handled within the U.S. Armed Forces. The tragic death of Maria Lauterbach was a wake-up call, highlighting the need for stricter protections for survivors of assault within the military ranks. Her story helped fuel important conversations about how the military could better protect its members. The murder of Maria Lauterbach was not just a tragic loss of life, but a powerful call for change. Her bravery in coming forward, even in the face of fear and danger, left an impact that still echoes today. While justice was served, the loss of Maria and her unborn child will never be forgotten.